I apologize for being late. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order at 1:06 p.m., Wednesday, May 22nd. Let the record reflect that all 7 voting members and 9 of the 12,
No.
sorry, 7 of the 9 ex officio members are present.
6 of the 9, but 7 should be
Sorry. Yes, 6 of the 9 are present with 1 incoming. The April meeting, we didn't quite have the March minutes, so we have the March minutes and then both April meeting minutes on the consent agenda. Are there any questions? I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
I would entertain a second.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state aye. Motion carries 7-0. New business review proposals submitted by AE and CMAR. Who wants to run it? Me?
Aaron Carter. Yes.
Okay,
It's way for the big ones.
where do you want to start? AE, CMAR?
Sure.
Okay.
Establish our kids.
Okay. We had 4 of them. Lloyd, DHS, Hutton, and McCown Gordon, sorry. They were all really nice proposals. Appreciate the work everyone put into them. I would suggest that we try to dwindle it to 2. I would entertain 3. What are your guys' thoughts?
I agree. Sure.
Try to get it to 2? Okay. Do we wanna go 1 by 1? Do we want to give Jennifer or Amanda our total scores and just see what it adds up to? Do we wanna talk about each one? What do you guys prefer?
I mean, I have some general comments.
Okay.
You know, when I was looking at the 4, just based on the proposals that I read, it felt like 2 of the 4 actually had more rec center experience than the other 2, and so I think for me, that dwindled my 2 down pretty quickly.
As far as safety and protocols and team leadership and that, they're all big firms, so they're all
Yeah.
pretty similar in that case. It's, my scoring wasn't that far off. I did have 2 that scored higher than the other 2, but my scoring really was not that far off between the 4.
Yeah, I would agree, like project approach, I mean, they all have a very solid approach, and so that basically, for me, they all had a very similar scores.
One of the things I didn't see in Lloyd Builders that I don't remember seeing in the other ones was that they would come back at 11 months after the build and reevaluate and see how things are going and actually walk through the building. And I don't remember seeing that in the others, and I really like that, especially for feasibility and those type of things. I don't know if you saw that on a lot of other ones and I just missed it.
I think the McCown one's timeline had something similar in it. It was a pretty detailed timeline.
They have a 1 year,
When you walk through,
yeah, I mean, I don't know that it said walkthrough
Yeah,
per se, but I know
post-inspection.
there's, yeah.
okay,
I'm sure any of them would do so if requested.
right.
But it's a
But I
very-
just like the fact that they are continuing that relationship, they know,
Sure.
and they plan to do that already.
Sure.
Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, I agree. And even if, I would say even if we went with, did not go forward, we would expect whoever we chose to do something very similar to
Right.
the point. You wanna say anything?
I don't really have anything to add.
Scott?
The Lloyd Builders didn't seem
No, they were all,
quite as
I mean,
much.
as far as CMRs, it was all comparable. I would try to look at them and get away from them a little bit, and come back later and look at them again, and the pros and cons. I think, obviously, I've got my 2 favorites, just try to rank them. The point system seemed very complicated. Amanda was getting points here. Wasn't I? I didn't understand the whole booking system.
Scott, you were not alone.
Susan, what were you saying?
Oh, the Lloyd builders, I appreciated that as well. They didn't, perhaps I didn't understand, didn't seem to have as much fresh build experience, so that was concerning to me.
Yeah, I did make a note that they have 161 million in grant/products facilities experience, but I didn't see any of those in the project.
Turner.
So which two do you feel had more experience or your senior than?
Gosh, you're making me the first person to say.
And go for it, we just have Aaron tally.
Yep.
We each give our top two, regardless
Yep.
of points, and see where you go, would that be acceptable?
Do you wanna give our top two or just go to 1 through 4?
It doesn't really matter.
I gave these two.
Yeah, I think if we do a complete 1 through 4,
Sure.
and there's, I mean, four second places.
And you want us to hand those in to you, or how do you? want
I
this
say
to
we
go?
give them to Jennifer.
I'm handing them to Jennifer. Is that information that needs to be public, how individuals voted or not?
I think it's just, I don't know.
I don't know either.
In,
Like, we can't take votes.
in a school board meeting, it is not public, correct?
It is public.
It is.
If you look at the.
If you look in the detail.
In the minutes?
Mhm.
Yeah, she can record it for the minutes, so write your
Just
name.
use that
Okay,
as a
great.
public
Yeah, write
comparison.
your name on the sheet, please,
Okay,
or
in
your
the minutes
initials.
it says it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'm just as
I know.
the one, I guess the one that stood out to me with the most experience with rec was McCown Gordon. Based on the proposals.
Yeah, I guess I like the comments from the non-voting members, I just don't know if we should. I mean, I don't mind seeing their ballots as well, are you okay with collecting their ballots?
I would like that.
I would too.
Okay.
Are we
And
putting
that
it
one.
together aggregate, or are we
I know,
receiving the
I think
information
that's-
separately?
Let's receive it back separately, and then we can decide
Perfect.
how much we want to put on that. Does that make sense?
Works for me.
Oh, I guess you're.
I mean, I would be too.
Can I have one?
I'll get you.
Thank you, sir.
I need your name on that. If you need help writing your name, one of the gentlemen on either side of
Are
me.
you sure?
We'll be happy to do
Like
that.
a bingo or something, or
I'm a runner.
what is that game they play at Main Street, all of your states?
Stuff like
Figure out what we have for.
Good idea.
I don't have any more people on budget, I just don't want to.
Your initials
Be
were.
environmentally irresponsible. I know.
There's four, so.
Carrie, Heaven, there's 8.
I felt the need to write big.
One on top, yeah.
Reaver.
Oh, really?
Reaver,
Yeah.
aye. Excuse me. Windburn from City Hall. Windburn.
All of them are returning, aren't they?
Windburn, not.
Okay, 4.
5 of 6.
Am I telling these right now?
Yeah, no, I got you.
I think that's what your job is.
And I don't wanna say anything.
It's gonna be a little powerhouse.
You're gonna get Kevin Jones.
Do it really? Do we have city at municipal or chance?
There was cut.
The only reason to was the city that ever had it. He never used his school. He's a nice guy. He's a great co-author. For the bus ride. Cooper played regionals with us last week. On a senior trip to Mexico, and they arrived at 9 p.m. on Saturday. He golfed on Sunday.
I was in Mexico.
Monday.
I just messaged him.
Yeah, this side of too.
This is the whole
Yeah.
thing, is characterized by
make a,
It's like I could make a spreadsheet too. Oh, I can
I know it's kind of confusing. So you're choosing between. So these two. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, there's the one. So this is. It kind of like, okay, perfect.
Scott's still working on this.
Yeah.
I never got to. You drove him to the train station. I know. Wow, what a cool experience for you.
And I'll be honest, I could admit this, but that would be fine too. So if you want to put Scott in a minute.
She hates to admit it, Scott. Did you hear that?
Well, I have certain notes. Yeah. So we're not chit-chatting, is that what you're saying?
Yes, they had this to see.
So you might have gotten set up projects like this, the A
No, they were, so I think originally our CMAR, so
I'm just looking at it.
yes, yes.
Because when I saw that, I was, I messed this up.
Yes.
It's her son, graduated from Harvard.
So it might be in the other one.
Yeah, it's in on his, it's in on.
I guess we can make
I looked through these thoroughly.
I did too, but.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain that.
There's gotta be something.
What is it?
Yeah, so she's the second in staff.
So to me,
Real central is like the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think some of them have reservations.
I know, which one of them worked at the rec and stuff, I was like, oh my gosh, but I don't even remember which one it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, 7 days, yeah. So it's like. Yeah, George Buxton, so she's the marketing, and like, so they have like marketing illustrators, and then we sat at so they're also does that make sense? And trying to figure out what would be.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
No, and I'm just.
Just lost a word with them. And we kind of just did
But that first trip was really just to see him, meet him first, so to speak, right? Develop that.
Okay.
You need your chair, Aaron. That's what you gotta do. Every woman does that at the porta potty.
And then the people are. That is.
Okay.
This is very exciting.
I know.
This is like a reveal.
It's like election day. I'm ready.
I think the reveal is very close to everyone's list. Maybe swap 1 and 2s and swap 3s and 4s. McCown got, of the voting members, McCown got 6 firsts in 1 second. Ex officios, they got 5 firsts in 1 second. So I would, looking at the spreadsheet for those purposes only, I would say they were the top choice. The second choice I would say would be Hutton. Hutton got 1 first, 5 seconds, and a 1/3 from the 7 voting members. They got 1 first, 3 seconds, 1/3, and 1/4 from the ex officios. I would say Lloyd would have gotten 3rd. They got a 2nd, 3/3, and 2/4 from the voting members. They got 2 seconds, 3/3, and a 4th from the ex officios. And BHS got a 2nd, 2/3, 4/4 from the voting, and 2/3 and 4/4 from the ex officios. I think based off those numbers, if anyone wants to see this, they can. I would say we invite McCown and Hutton for interviews. Any discussion?
I would agree with that. When I glanced through these again, I think that McCown and Hutton were the 2 that really hit the main points of what we're looking at. Lloyd Builders, I was looking through their project experience was, let me see, it was the Evergy Center, Surgical Center, and a student center, maybe a couple of student centers. I didn't see anything really with, I think I had them marked down on aquatics. I didn't see anything with aquatics, so that's one of our leading things. what we want is aquatics. I didn't see much from them on that. They have some pictures, but no really experience listed in there. And then, EHS was kind of the same way. They ranked close, but I think they missed a couple of the main points that we're looking at in the proposal.
Anyone else, anybody have a desire to invite a third? Okay,
Do you need a motion?
I'm sure we do.
Should we do it all at once at the end when we formalize who the alumni invite?
I don't know that it matters. We can just officially get them out of the way. And the date is interviews the week of June.
It's June 13th.
The RFQ say the week of June 10. Based on your all's vacation schedules, we said June 13.
June 13 was gonna be our date to pick the finalist, correct?
Yes, interviews.
Interviews.
All day
Make the
interviews.
decision that day, I
Yeah.
believe.
So that's probably the motion to include. To notify that they're the two finalists to be interviewed June 13th.
Chairman Harder, I would make a motion that we invite McGowan, Gordon, and Hutton to the June 13th finalist selection day.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to make McCown, Gordon, and Hutton our finalists for interviews on June 13th. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor state aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Before we move to the next section, which is twice as many to consider, is there any possible way to like use this blackboard over here? Or
Right on the mirror. if
Or
that was
right on
it.
the-
Yeah, I brought some,
Or I can plug
Well,
it in.
I could
Yeah.
keep track of the numbers you were reading out for those four.
Right,
I'm concerned about my ability to track on 9.
yeah, well, and I was gonna ask, do we want to, well, yeah, I think we should, do we wanna do all 9, or do we just wanna turn in our top 5?
Well,
Can we maybe talk about them a little bit and see kind of like, what your pros and cons might have been for each one, and then make a decision?
Okay.
I have a suggestion. To start off maybe with the aquatics piece of it, we asked our aquatic supervisor Jen to be here today. You can tell by the summary that I put together that between all 9 of them, they really only use 3 different aquatics firms. And so we kind of asked Jen for opinion on those. And where I think that's probably one of the biggest pieces of what we're trying to build, that we maybe should talk out loud about that piece of it.
You get your spot.
So the 3 companies that these architects have used were Water's Edge, Water Technology, and Councilman Hunsaker. You said you've had experience with a couple of those, right?
I'm familiar with them. I've
Familiar,
never
okay.
had experience with them, but I'm familiar with them.
And so will you tell me what you know about them?
Water's Edge does a lot of work. I'm associated with an aquatics group in the Kansas City area. They come to meetings, and so I'm very familiar with them and who they are. They're from the Kansas City area, so really easily contact. I reached out to them. I believe a couple of years ago, the city commission had wanted some information about potential upgrades to the aquatic facility out at Jones. And Water's Edge provided a lot of the options for us. I sent them blueprints, and they shared the different options that we could do with what we have there. So that's the work that I've had with Water's Edge. Councilman and Hunsaker, they're based out, last I knew they were out of the Kansas City area, but I think they're nationwide, so they're a pretty big company. They do a lot of risk management that I'm familiar with. I've reached out to them regarding risk management questions related to our facilities. That's kind of the aspect that I know from them on that.
And you don't know anything about the other company at all,
I
Water
do
Technology? Do you know any recent new builds, new pools that have used any of these companies, like the big pool in Topeka that just got built? Do you have any idea?
That one, I don't remember who did that one. That was, gosh, that was almost No, that, just recently they have one, and I don't know who did that.
Okay.
The big pool and dock, is it Dodge?
Oh,
Dodge
yeah,
City, that
Garden
was-
City.
Garden City,
Garden City.
that was mentioned, I don't remember.
I also remember two of them referenced the Maze Aquatic Center, the Maze High School, which
Yeah.
some of us have seen before, and it's gorgeous.
As far as other facilities, I could find out, I just haven't really
Yeah,
thought about it much.
that's fine. You have more knowledge than any of us, so.
I'm happy to research any information you might need.
But either company has been great to work with, or if you've had questions, they.
I know Brian Hill, is that a name you know?
Yes.
So he did come to our pre-submittal meetings. Okay.
He's a former aquatic, director out of Wichita. So being that he has a lot of knowledge from the operating side, can sometimes be helpful on the design side as well. And that's why they pulled him in,
Okay,
because they wanted that operation side.
okay, thanks.
I knew I saw Maze somewhere, and it was
Up there,
Schaefer.
but-
It was Schaefer. They
Okay.
did not, they did it in-house, they did not use Waters
Oh,
Edge
okay.
or the others.
Okay,
But I knew when somebody mentioned Maze, I saw it in there somewhere.
okay.
If there's any other questions, I'm happy to do any research you might need, and whatever information. Okay, thank you.
Since you guys are the only ones here, I'll ask you, have you used more than Waters Edge when it came to aquatics? Okay. Pretty similar in skill levels?
Who have they used before? I'm sorry, I missed it. Waters,
Water's Edge and Lamp Renderson are the two that we use mostly.
but for this, you guys chose Waters Edge, correct? For sure, okay.
We're doing the ERC, or I'm sorry, the Valley Center, Rec Center.
Did they just do the one in Merriam too? Who did that one? I don't know. Maybe not.
Didn't hear them.
No. Didn't want to. Anyway, it's not relevant right now.
Okay, where do you wanna start? Do you want to go person by person? You wanna go firm by firm and each person say pros or cons or abstain?
Go by firm.
Let's go by firm. We'll go alphabetical. BG, right? Alright. BG pros, only firm that has somebody house in Emporia, it's a pro.
Agreed.
I also like the folks that they paired with out of Wisconsin. I guess cons, I don't know about cost-wise, but maybe paying two firms is more expensive than one. I'm sure we can ask more detailed questions if they made it to the interview stage. I like their proposal. They have, between the two of them, they have quite a bit of experience. Commissioner Brinkman, myself, Mr. Detter, Mr. Hanlon. City Manager Cox, obviously know how much experience they have with the city of Emporia itself.
I feel like a lot of the experience they've had is definitely relevant to what we want. A lot of the pictures I really like, even their modern buildings and things like that, the way that their things look. I like the aesthetics of them. I also like that they've already come up with some renderings for us and already have some ideas about what they wanna do, but they have a lot of different ideas, like the amphitheater and the soccer field, soccer on the top, you know? I mean, there's a lot of things that they have thought already out of the box, which I think is good.
I agree, and their involvement in our community certainly gives them a step ahead. I had them as my first choice, but their facility in Columbus, Nebraska, I thought was really pretty impressive. And within a dollar amount that doesn't send you into cardiac.
The first time I heard that facility, I was like, let's just start that way.
I did too, I'm like, wow, that's great.
I mean, I would agree. I really did look at employee experience in all of the proposals we reviewed, because just having that leg up and knowing who we are, what our values are, it makes the job, I think, a little bit easier. And just looking at the wealth of rec and wellness experience was very impressive.
Anyone else on BG before we?
Yeah, I agree with what everybody said. If you guys have your books and you look at page 66, I felt like that page kind of set them apart from a lot of the other ones we looked at with just some different, more original ideas. I felt like a lot of the other ones were kind of the same thing over and over and over again. And whenever I came across this page with potential indoor disc golf course, rooftop soccer, maybe something about Veterans Day and Veterans Memorial inside there, I thought that was really cool, tying the community into the facility.
Yeah, it looked to me like they invested quite a bit of time. I mean, they already understood the community, but to put it down on the design thoughts was pretty interesting to me. I think from my aspect of it, the county, we use B&G quite a bit on different projects, and there's still one going on down the road, Bruce, as I understand. So I think we've had a good working relationship for them. Are they number one or not, I'm not sure about that, but,
From a staff viewpoint, they came early and met with us before this process started, and we were impressed. The Wisconsin team came down and met with us, and they were really excited and energetic and had great ideas already. And then, what we can tell from the ones we've met with are who put that information into their proposals, right? Like, did they listen to us? Did they hear what we were trying to say about our community? And I thought they did a good job with that. So.
Yeah, I think on the CMAR side or the architect side, if there's stuff in people's proposals that we like for the building and we don't select them, we can still have whoever we choose incorporate that kind of stuff into the projects as well.
Sure.
That's the awesome part of getting 4 CMARs and 9 AEs. Okay, anything else on BG before we move on to BNIM?
Who's the next one? Say it again.
BNIM?
Okay. I'll speak first again. They met with us early too. They brought a team down. Just really awesome people, very interested in our project and just really thoughtful ideas. When they were talking to us, they have won awards for that YMCA that they did in downtown Kansas City, which is kind of cool. And they do have other YMCA experience, but that's, as far as standing out from the rest, they were really nice people. I mean, that's where I would go with that. I don't know that they have as much recreation experience as a couple of the others in this pile, but.
That's probably the one area where the score's a little bit lower for me, was just on project experience.
I did like that they were employee owned. I thought that was pretty wonderful.
I think the other thing I did like was that they do have actually renovation experience with quite an old building, so the Lyric. I mean, that's a pretty big deal to turn that into a rec center. So if there's any type of renovation or whatever we wanna do with this building, I think they might have some kind of out of the box ideas that whatever we could do here too, so.
And they did talk a lot about that, for sure, about how that process in renovating that building. The two firms that keep coming up as far as, other contractors, Henderson and Water's Edge, like the architects that we have talked to speak highly of both of those firms. Like, if you ask them about Henderson, they're very complimentary about that engineering firm too, so.
And my favorite quote.
Oh, and Amanda's favorite quote came from them.
No one knows as much as everyone. I mean, there's you and I.
Okay, I'll do clarify.
But-
Just change your name
kind of threw me off there for a second.
Okay, anyone else? On B and IM? Okay, Finkel and Williams. List in alphabetical order.
Here's what after everyone talked about BG, I would say I'm putting that in my keep pile, like we're gonna come back to that. What about B and IN?
Not there yet.
I think it's too soon to say.
Okay, too soon to say, all right. Put it in the middle.
I think our key pile will go off of the.
Okay.
Anybody have anything about Finkel and Williams?
No, I did like that they put, fiscal responsibility right from their philosophy, but then that's where most points ended for me. They just didn't climb out of the ladder.
Well, and I feel like when I looked through this one, the prices were actually much higher than some of the other ones that I went through and looked at, and so that kind of, yeah, I wasn't very, I wasn't very
And a lot of
impressed.
them are Canada.
Aquatics, part of it was the company out of Canada, that's where I got confused, the MGMA part was who they, I think, is their aquatics piece. And it was hard to know much about that.
Well, to be right honest with you, I noticed right off the bat, they really never mentioned the rec center, the reporting community. It was almost like they had these generic.
Recovered.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, they did their job and sent it in, but that's really all they did.
Yeah. I will tell you, ironically, this guy drove down from Kansas City to deliver these books to me, as opposed to sending them in. So, but he didn't come meet with us earlier, we haven't met their team or anything, but I thought that was interesting, so, I mean, good for him for making the trip, but.
Yeah, I'm closer to Commissioner Brinkman than anything else. I like their team, and their team was pretty diverse, but, their projects, no offense, but I don't really care about what happened in Ontario.
Right.
I know we're calling it honest.
Okay? I'm gonna go in alphabetical order by what their name is going to be instead of, so we're gonna push Tessera GLMB to Tessera. So next is Inventure.
Oh,
Pushing him.
A lot of weird flooring, I noticed that.
It's making a difference.
Anything stick out, anything?
I mean, this was the AI one, right? Like, they're going to do the, you know, which is kind of cool, but that's it. I mean, they have a lot of, talk about how they could use AI in the project.
When they did list some of these products and projects.
I liked that they were a certified developer.
Can you say that one more time, Susan, for the camera? The train. The train did not.
I liked that they were a certified WBE, that's a Women Business Enterprise certified through the state, and I thought that the diversity of their team was outstanding. It wasn't all just K-State,
A lot of that.
as there were a lot.
It's a good school for it.
It is.
other big pros or cons on any venture?
This was definitely in the middle for me, nothing about it like really stuck out.
I just don't feel like it stood out.
Yeah, just for your guys' reference, when I hear no talking from you, that's what I assume it is somewhere.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Okay, multi-studio.
We have a long history with them.
Yes.
And it's not bad. We've asked a lot of them over the years and then given them nothing in return, so. So that's why you saw some drawings in there. That's why you saw mentions of us, the rec center. Kelly Dreyer is from Emporia, and he is the one through the years that we have worked with. I don't love their new name, but that's not my business.
Is there a reason things have stopped going? Has it anything to do with
No,
them?
no,
Okay.
absolutely not.
Okay.
Yes, they kind of landed in the middle for me. Obviously they have the experience. Their examples in relation to all 9 proposals were a little underwhelming. Kind of, we'll polish up what you got.
I didn't like that they misspelled Lee.
I corrected it in my book, I couldn't handle it either. And immediately I got defensive because they gave the example of the Kirk Family YMCA, and I understand that they gave that example because Henderson is the engineer, but unless you read details, you wouldn't know, and they don't mention that the architect for that was BNIM. Like, don't be putting that in your book, that's not fair, so, me being picky.
But they worked on it.
I mean, Henderson, the contractor that they wanna hire for the electrician, or the, you know what I'm saying? So they're giving examples of Henderson's work,
One of the
which, but
partners-
you have to
one of the
read
partners.
that.
So it's not
It's
there
kind
yet.
of,
It's not their
right, and it's
design
kind
yet.
of like not giving photo cred to somebody who took a photo. They don't mention, of course, they don't mention the architect that did that work. I just know, because I read the other books, that that is BNIM.
Well, that makes me a little bit skeptical just in and of itself, you know?
I mean, I think they did have a lot of rec center experience in their book, maybe not as much as some of the others, and they do probably know as much as anybody about what we've been trying to do over the years, so I'll give them a lot of credit there. They have worked on a project for us over the years.
They're the ones that have done most of the drawings, Tom.
And with the 2018 study that we did with them, Pat O'Toole, which is a name you'll see in SFS's book, worked with them at that time. And he's kind of an operations planning guy. You know, how much are the utilities gonna run you? How can we, I don't know, I don't even know what his consulting
Well,
title is, but he worked with them at that time.
He's out in Colorado right now, and that was a consulting firm that they hired, well, we agreed to hire.
Right.
And he came in and run
He helped do the
The task
focus
force.
studies, and so he's no longer with Multi-Studio, he's now in SFS's book, but anyway.
Okay, any more on multi?
For multi-studio, I kinda had them more at the top, maybe more middle pack. I thought their references were good, aquatics, gyms, fitness centers, things that we're looking at doing. If they took part in the Lawrence Pavilion project, that's one of the better facilities that we've been around, in the state, so, and that's, as we said, you know, Susan said, maybe some of the other ones were underwhelming. That facility is incredible.
You go to quite a few facilities. too.
Yeah, we go to a gym quite a bit, so, these are, I wouldn't say they were my favorite, but they were more on the upper end for me.
Yeah, I think they did the Lawrence Library also,
Mhm.
and that was just a beautiful facility as well. And I think I kind of saw it as a mixed bag, because at the end of the day, we could be looking at just refurbishing this building or doing something. So I didn't really mind, seeing some, renderings me see what a reality might also be too.
Well, one thing I did notice about them, they were a little bit toward the top of this too, is the fact that they mentioned like climate, with solar and stuff like that.
Mhm.
They're really one of the few that did that, but, you know, use innovative ideas. And being from sustainable farming, I'm kind of interested in that to control the cost of the environment and stuff. I guess that makes me an environmentalist, but
I like it.
I think it's a pretty important thing, at least.
Not in office anymore, it's okay.
Oh, I can say that. I think the next word's gonna be liberal then.
Welcome to the good side.
I mean, Shelley's got you on camera.
Yeah.
I'll cut that
I
off.
can't
Thanks,
go
Scott.
home now.
With a glitch at 151.
Right.
Put has-been behind it.
I also was sort of reading for that too, and I didn't see a lot of it. One of them, I did a lot in Greensburg, so I know that, you know, of course, that was all about, you know, being more environmentally friendly there, more green space or green. So I think that's something to value also.
Aaron, is Lawrence Pavilion at Rock Chalk Park? Is that
Yeah.
one? Yeah, that's a terrific facility.
Tell's been in a lot of gyms too, together.
Yeah.
Tell and
Yeah.
Aaron have been in a lot of gyms together, so. And if they've already donated time to help, you know, start, even if it was years ago, I think the least we could do is give them a chance to come in and sell themselves to it.
Perkins and Will. Maybe one more name so they can be a law firm.
I know.
It was heavy. I remember this one, it was heavy.
They grew on me. I read it a couple times. They grew on me.
Yeah, that same experience with this one, Jennifer. Then you read them and you go back, you're like,
Just
oh.
some little tidbits that I really kind of liked. We met with them, but not until pre-submittal day, but he was very interested, and I see a lot of language in here that he heard that day. And again, it's always nice to be listened to and have that come back to you in the form of this proposal. So there was, I think I kind of caught more of that the second time I read it.
Multi-generational is something we talked about a lot, want to be a multi-generational facility, and this is the only place that I saw that was in this one.
They had esports,
And
no one else
esports.
had esports,
Yeah.
I was pretty excited.
I thought that was.
That's good, yeah.
That is.
Dion told me what esports was one of the first meetings.
Are you up to speed now?
I'm not up to speed, he gave me that.
It is growing extremely rapidly, to the
Excellent.
point that high school
Yeah.
teams are even like.
Yeah, this was the
becoming
Marion.
commonplace.
The which one?
All
Marion.
Derek does is
Yes,
college.
Yes.
okay.
D1s and D2s.
I like that their design has a lot of green information in it too, or just their design brings the light in. They had a lot of that kind of calming type of, that's how I understood it though.
They had an excellent plan for selling the project, whether it's a bond or a ballot initiative. I think that really, some good pieces into that section.
Well, and Doug, who was I'm trying to find Doug Barraza, was the first person who responded after we sent out the RFQ with a very detailed list of questions. And immediately it ticked me off, and it was like, nope, he's very detail oriented. Like and they were all good questions, and one of them was a typo on my part, and I'm just like, okay, this guy likes details.
I think that's what you want, right?
Right? I know, after it
Like,
ticked me off,
in
I'm
the
like,
scheme of
all
things,
right,
like, that's
yeah.
a good thing.
Exactly. Come on, buddy. You know what I've been doing.
I got a job when I was 25 because I cut a typo on a business card, and the guy gave me a job.
Good on Perkins and Will? I really like their half slices of the building and overviews on each of their projects. A little more visualization. Now, I'm on one. SC before SF.
It's true.
Schaefer. Do you have an extra Schaefer?
You can borrow mine.
Jamie,
Here.
Jamie left hers on.
Never mind.
So I guess one of the, I read very similar to Mr. Briggs and Mrs. Kraus in terms of reading and setting it aside, coming back and reading for a different reason, setting it aside. And so when I was reading, just looking at the diversity and experiences of the team members, I was pretty disappointed on page 16. There's almost no diversity, and the women are placed at the bottom in traditional women's roles. So the last point's there for me on that one.
I actually noticed that too.
And it's just kind of offensive, like, oh.
I think the first time I looked at it, I did not notice it. I was looking to see if it was, if there were any women or people of color on the teams. But as I read through some of the other more diverse ones, it came back that way. That being said, I think they got really good project experience. They've done quite a few good projects in the area.
We know a little bit about the Newton YMCA. I haven't seen it. Tom, I don't know if he has or not. Valley Center, so that's definitely, Valley Center's a recreation commission like we are, so we've talked to that director, so we know a little bit about that project too, and it seems like that's really gonna be a cool thing. And then this is the Maze one that you said, and that's another one I haven't seen. And Derby Rec, we've seen Derby Rec as well, so that's another recreation commission. And I don't know why, I feel like that's a good comparison for us as commissions versus Parks and Rec, but they renovated Derby Recreation Center, and it does look really good.
Well, and they've added on over the years.
They have a little more space.
Yeah.
But, and I feel like though, when you look through this, they have a lot of area or, buildings that have a lot of space, but their cost was not extreme. They had really good costs for what had been, or done. Yes, the years were before now, however, I feel like their costs were pretty low compared to some of the others.
That was my main note, was a good experience with projects similar to the size of what we're wanting to do.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with all of that, although when I looked at some of the pictures, I was really underwhelmed.
I had the word underwhelmed on my sheet as well.
Oh, wow.
The exact word, a little underwhelming on the examples.
Yeah.
I was also just a little bit concerned about the simplistic approach of the two-page process in relationship to the project approach of some of the others that just gave us so much more detail and information about their thought processes. That one just seemed a little copied and pasted and not tailored.
Have you been to Far Hawk in Wichita? Dale, have you been to Far Hawk in Wichita?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't, I would not have guessed it was built in 2013.
Far Hall, Andover, no.
Yeah.
There's the one north and one south, the one
Yeah.
south's in Wichita.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one, what'd you say?
It's
Far
11 years old and does not
Yeah.
look like it's 11 years old.
It does not.
Well, that's good.
It's a great facility.
Did you use it?
It's fabulous, yeah.
I mean, is it well used, or is it lightly traveled?
I assume it's really well used.
It is my husband's cousin, they belong, all their friends belong to it, they all go.
Yeah.
And the Andover one just, they're getting ready to reopen, they just had open houses last weekend. So it's completely rebuilt on the inside and remodeled from the original, so. And I've been in all the Ys around in Wichita, so I'm just telling you, look like nice facilities.
I do remember actually showing this picture to my husband thinking, wow, that rendering and then the actual that was exact spot on. So when we actually talk to the public and we have pictures that are that spot on, I think that would be extremely helpful. So I remember that standing out for me. These renderings were fabulous.
Completely agree with that. I think that's super important when everybody's giving us ideas, but to see it actually come to fruition, that's important to see, especially speaking with the public.
Okay, any more Schaefer? Hearing
Yeah,
none.
I just want to share something, not so particular to Schaefer, but we were talking about the sports pavilion and Far Hall complex, which I think both do basketball and volleyball. Complexes like that, people want to go to for, you know, probably the main reason for me is that you get good game times, and you have room to take your family there. You know, when you're going to tournaments or traveling to go somewhere and you have one or two gyms, you might play at 8 in the morning and 7 at night. When there's a big facility with multiple gyms, usually you're playing 9 and 12, or you're using more of half a day than you are using an entire day and trying to keep your family entertained and doing that. So it makes it easier to go to those places, and we would pick places. Tel and I would talk about that too. We would pick places it was easy to take our family to. We weren't gonna be sitting around the community spending money at McDonald's and that for the rest of the day. So the thought process of this firm and some of the other firms that I look at that I like a lot, that's probably 2 or 3 of the main reasons why I think they're important.
What do you wish those communities had, that would engage your family during that downtime, so that the families would spend money within the community? Because I would actually want that to be a goal.
That's a good question. And we went to, you know, museums, obviously kids wanna go shopping, so I think, it's nice that we do have some retail starting back up in our community again. You know, obviously you're probably gonna eat 2 meals when you're there at the time, so,
I think our downtown offers
Yeah.
something, so,
yeah.
you know, when you look at like competitive markets where we travel to for tournaments and different things all the time, shopping is a benefit because of your retail options, right? Like in Wichita or Kansas City, even at Topeka. We may not be able to match that, although we have more retail continuing to come in, but we have the other aesthetics, you know, our downtown. So to me, like location, for example, looking at the louder north side as an example, plays a key factor because you're within walking distance right there, but
So you're
still.
like kind of describing an element, and I know we're not here yet, but I just want to write it down. Like when you're on the highway and you go to the Matfield Green Service Center, and there's the little travel kiosk of everything you can do in the next 100 miles. That somewhere within your facility, if you're hosting those kinds of tournaments, you need the little Emporia kiosk
Absolutely.
of everything that family
What to
can
do,
do
yeah.
while they're in the community.
I think the other thing, I don't know if you guys have been up in Wichita or down in Wichita to Aviate, but they have a jump park in with their gymnasium. So maybe some other things even within the rec center that people could pay for, like a rock climbing wall for my son to play on
Right.
while my
Partnerships.
daughter is playing volleyball. You know, those type of things are also helpful. The parks here would be, I think, well traveled to, especially if we're right in the middle of town. They could go to Peter Pan, they could go to Hammond, you know, different ones like that too. Because not only do most families have one child, the other child has to be taken care of too, and they usually want to be running around doing something.
I think that's a major determining factor when we, like, as we looked at different tournaments to join. So one, you want to get down and have options with games type, right? But also, there's lots of younger siblings that tend to, it's either do we divide and conquer and we keep one at home because they're gonna be bored if we're playing 3 games all day, or is it worth us bringing them because there's other stuff to do? And I think that's a critical aspect of, we're looking at bringing people to us, what can we do for multi-ages while the tournament's occurring or other things like that.
And I think there was one of the groups or one of the architects and engineers that talked about revenue for the rec center and bringing in revenue.
I wrote that down, yeah.
But I don't remember which one it was though. But those are the types of things that I may think about when we're designing it, to have other revenue while we're having a tournament. What other revenue can we bring in by just having them in that building from the families being there?
Like the golf simulator is like is a huge attraction also.
Yes, for sure.
Like even the idea of, I think early on we talked about like a coffee bar or a smoothie station produces revenue, and I've gone to plenty of away tournaments and I'm just seeking out the nearest Starbucks. So have
Right.
I think that's part of the game time conversation too. I'm not sure you meant, we just wanna play games and leave town.
Sure.
We don't want a big gap and then
Right.
you're,
Right.
what are we gonna do?
Right.
If you play at 9 and noon, you're probably eating on site.
Right.
And then we've all done plenty of, we're playing in Kansas City, our last game's at noon, we're spending the rest of the day in Kansas City as well.
Yep.
Correct.
But there's also an element to that too, where you don't wanna go back to a place where you're stuck there the entire day. That's just, I mean, Dion, when he was young, I coached his teams and we played tournaments in Canton Galva, and we played 8 in the morning and 8 at night. You know, so.
You're more marketable.
Yeah.
But we've gone, I mean, we went to Andover Farbaugh as much as possible. It was now an hour and 10 minutes away. We had a big gathering space in the middle with a good concession stand, TVs on in there. It was, you know, close to Wichita, so you could go do some stuff there. The Lawrence Sports Pavilion has a hiking trail outside, so between games, we go out and hike on the trail. And so that's one thing that gets you as a parent, is you sit so much when you go to those things.
Or
So
your
you-
kids are on an iPad all day
Yeah.
long
Yeah.
if they're not the one
Yeah.
playing, so it's nice to be able to get them to do something. Wow.
I think there's a lot of value in looking at those things that would keep people there, earn, like be potentially money earners, as an investment. So yes, there may be additional cost up front, but the investment in what you return long-term is, there's validity there.
And if it's a good experience, they'll come back.
Correct.
Three or four times. You know, like the Wichita Sports Forum has a jump park on one side, and, you know, that's bigger than what we're talking about,
Right.
but, you know, we need to. When we were in the rec commission meeting, we were looking at the ball field being adjusted there at Whittier Park. And we're hoping to maybe put a playground in there by the ball
That would
fields.
be huge.
Wonderful, wonderful, with walking trails around it. That's really this kind of this,
Skate park.
the,
And
I mean, I hope there's a skate park there.
yeah. But that's the quality of, you know, that other places are putting into their facilities, where it's not just that, you're able to do multiple things.
I think aquatics being on the same location is gonna help a ton.
Additional.
I think that's a good
agree.
point.
That would help.
Yeah.
As long as it can stay open when we have a tournament,
Sure.
you know, that feasibility has to be there as well. But man, that could bring in a lot of revenue
Cause then you could both go and divide and conquer in the same.
Yeah.
on site.
on site.
I remember traveling to Burlington Rec Center as a kid and playing in a tournament, and we were excited we gotta get in the pool afterwards.
You get to go to the pool afterwards.
Well, I think it's a different aspect of being a grandparent. You want something like a bourbon cowboy or a malt race for those folks.
Right down the street.
I'm just saying, kind of work the edge off
Hey,
in between.
parents too.
Hey, parents want to.
Hey, why grandparents?
Yeah, you gotta feel responsible.
Empty nesters totally.
If we could make a trail from the facility to Bourbon Cowboy, that would
Probably ought to
be
make it one way.
one way.
Sorry, I can't make it back.
There's
Come
probably,
pick me
there's
up.
probably some private funding available.
Okay, let's go, we got 2 more. Let's go 2 more, and then I love the combo, we can keep, talking about that as well. SFS.
Okay, these guys, we have not met other than the pre-submittal day, except one of the lead team, Brian Garvey, was at our state conference, and so we did talk to him back in January, and he's just a super awesome guy. And then AKA, the other half of it, came to pre-submittal day, and Amanda spent a lot of time talking to them, and they are out of Manhattan. SFS is out of Overland Park, I think. I think this is the one that maybe you guys are talking about as far as they talked about a 5-year pro forma. This is the one at Pat O'Toole, that guy I was telling you about, that there was pieces in this book about considering the cost impact on the community, which I think we've talked a lot about, you know, not building something that our community can't afford, and they kind of address that in this book. They just had lots of rec experience. We have reached out to Sedalia. They're the ones, I don't know if any of you have seen the Sedalia brand new recreation center, but I've heard it's amazing from lots of people. And Amanda and Tom reached out to them. We never did get to go see it, but these are the ones, these are guys who designed that, so that's my 2 cents on them.
I did see that former Victorian is on the design team. Keith Beatty.
Oh, yes, he works for Olson, yes, and he's one of the engineers they chose, yes.
I guess the thing that stuck out for me, probably stuck out for Mr. Kirk and Mr. Trelk as well, that we've been to the Anthony and Eisenhower
The two in
facilities quite a bit.
Manhattan.
They're really nice.
I've been to the Meadowbrook building in Prairie Village, it's beautiful, it's got incredible outdoor spaces. And then they did something for Manhattan Parks, I wrote that down below as well.
I did like this one because they had a softball team
Oh,
on
yeah.
it with turf, so obviously they went turf.
Yeah, right here, Mark. The overhead view of the Manhattan pool might have been my favorite picture of all.
What do you
It
say?
was just a pretty picture. It had an overview of the Manhattan pool, like an aerial at night. It's not skewing my decision. I just thought it had a nice picture.
But I do feel like their water parks looked different than some of the others, even if it was designed by Water's Edge. So I don't know how that collaboration is different, I guess, but I did notice that with these guys.
Anything else on this FS? You did talk on them, didn't you? You started? Tessera, formerly known as GOMB.
Go ahead and say it. Jen's gotta get this off her chest real quick, Jennifer does. Go ahead.
This is not my rec center logo, sorry, I just have to get that off my chest. It hit me like a ton of bricks, I don't like it, it made me angry, and then I had to just start over and read the book with peace in my heart. We spent a lot of time to try to explain who we are as a recreation commission. They didn't, and we've met with these guys, we've met with these guys more than once. They used language in there about our tagline being fit for life, which it's actually active for life, and it just, you know, it's like me reading a resume, the little stuff sticks out, and then I have to kind of get past it and move on. They do have a lot of good experience.
Did you notice the picture that was backwards?
No, I missed that.
Oh, on the first page, the already says backwards, cause it's, I mean, it's so
Oh,
easy to flip that around and get it right.
Right, so it's just, that's who I am as a person, it's the little things, and those are my little things, so.
I'm not gonna strongly endorse, but, you know, obviously from South Central Kansas, and, you know, my last comment before we really narrow it down is, you know, a bias is if you work with Schaefer and Tessera, that's, you know those people, so if we can have geographic diversity in our finalists, you know, and obviously, we sitting here and having worked with people in South Central Kansas isn't fair to those in Northeast that I've never had experience with, and I, you know these proposals were, well, obviously you're finding some flaws in that one, but that's all I would say, is that we could at least pick someone from, and, you know, having like BG from Emporia, you know, kind of local, but then going both northeast and south, that's my only suggestion.
I did like the diversity of their team, both, diversity as well as, abroad, not all Kansas schools. I think I had this one here.
Another Emporia tie, Lucas Brooks is from Emporia, so it's just another example of an Emporia person on their team.
I've worked closely with, GLMD, but their, zoos and park, their zoos division, zoos and aquarium division, they were awesome for us at the David Trailer Zoo in Emporia. Obviously a completely different division than that, but they are big enough to have a specific zoos and aquariums division.
I thought a lot of their work was very similar to what we are wanting, and I felt like their pricing, for cost of builds was good.
And for this one, I really wanted to see more, I wanted them to lean more into the rec center experience, and I didn't feel like I saw a lot of that in this one. I saw some other great projects, but I don't know, I just didn't feel like I saw anything that, I didn't see enough for me on this one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, we have 9. Do we wanna do a top 9? Do we wanna do a top 6? Do we wanna try to dwindle this to 3? Do we wanna try to dwindle this to 4? I think I like more than 3, so I don't mind doing 4 interviews that day.
I feel better about that.
Do you want us to just put our top 4 and then we'll just see where we're at on the mirror and see if we need 5? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And we could write the names up there, and people could go get 4 marks, or, you know, or 5, however you want.
We could put it on the paper,
I
right?
w-
You
yeah.
can write it
Yeah, I don't want the 7th person going up there feeling like they're making,
Right, exactly.
The finalists.
Alright, I think you're right, Karen. Because I was gonna use my piece of paper.
let's do our top 6.
Okay.
If you do it as marks, like something like that, you could put all your grades in one basket, or you could rate 6.
You just said that. You said it.
But if you, so like if you have 6 stars that you can give, you could give all 6 of your stars to 1, or you could give 6 stars to 6 different companies.
Oh,
Does that make
gosh.
sense?
No.
For-
Yeah, I don't wanna skew it that way.
Yeah.
Can we just rank 1 through 6?
Let's rank 1 through 6. You put the names up.
Or do you just want the 6 names?
Maybe start with 6 names.
Okay.
Yeah, let's start with 6 names. We can
6
rank it
names.
after if need be. How about that?
Alright.
Or you could write if you wanna put exclude and just write 3 names, that's fine as well.
Easier.
We're getting there, we're getting there.
Just write the 3 that you're not interested in.
I was not interested in.
SFS.
Not interested in.
Either write 6 that you are,
Okay.
or put exclude and write the 3 that you're not, and we'll know the other 6 each of them. Does that make sense?
My list.
But hey, hang on, sorry. If we really truly do wanna dwindle it down to 4, then we should probably just do 4, right? Cause if we all have the same 6, the 6th one's gonna look
No,
just
we're
like
not further ahead.
the first one. So please rank them.
You want 4 on here?
What do you think's easier? If we wanna get it down to 4?
Can I ask a question, Amanda? When you were dividing us up in piles over there, because you had like the ones where it felt like we felt strongly, then there was some middle. Was there any, did you put any in a pile that you're like?
The Fiesel and Williams, I felt like clearly
Mhm.
no one was impressed.
And then I also have Adventure.
And Adventure, I could-
Because it was underwhelming
Oh,
compared
you're
to the other
fine.
ones, so those are my 2 that I would.
Yeah,
I think we only need to vote once if we do it in a ranking system now.
Okay, tell us how to do it.
So you wanna put numbers right here? You want 1 through 4?
Let's do 1 through 5.
Rank our top 5.
Yep,
Okay, I can do that.
we'll put marks, whether you got first, second, third, fourth, or 5th, and then we'll dwindle it from there with the other ones. Does that work?
can go home and.
Oh, I guess it is.
Yes, please, yes. Thank you.
Oh, we're coming down.
These two over here did. Well, actually, I didn't need those.
Hey, Aaron, if individuals spend more time, what did you say, top what? How
Top
many?
5.
So if they
In
just
order.
identify top 5, and on the board you tally everyone's, who gets a top 5 vote.
I'm gonna get a tally for a top 5 vote, and then if we need to come back, we can come back to the voting system, to the ranking system.
Just save people time and
Yeah.
determine who's number 4 and who's number 3.
I do not have to speak.
Oh, we don't.
Scott does.
Scott
Scott's
Oh, right
prepared
here.
for us right here.
I just think I was ranked 16th.
The ranked what?
After you put it in there, I think people need to see it.
We can just do both over there. Can you bring them back?
Oh,
After I vote,
Okay. So, do you want me to put it on?
All of those will look exactly the same. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Probably a good idea.
Okay.
Here, you need to vote.
What? Okay.
Aaron left his pen.
I'll just go with my emergency ideas.
That's always like the heaters on?
Well, they were messing with the thermostat, so now.
Okay, now there's a water.
Low battery, y'all. Low battery. Gotta wrap this up.
I'll come pick them up from you when you're done. You got
Yeah,
this?
that's the only one I got here. I'll get you one. I know a guy that,
Anybody else got one?
hey, we need more paper.
Over here, Tom.
I have to go in over there.
Yes, Jennifer's in the back of her. They just tore off the pad.
We're supposed to go 5, right?
It's 5.
no, they're not in order, right? I just put the one, the fun, but.
I'll come back to you if I need you to.
Great.
How many am I supposed to do?
Five. Voting. Voting.
We already did the C marsh, right?
That's mine. Yeah, that's mine. One, two, three. Hannah? 4, 5, 6, 7. Are you guys, we got the 7 voting, are you okay if we start?
Yes.
You guys just don't look? Who do we have still X? Yeah, I just don't want to hear you guys.
Instead of scanning through.
I guess it would be A, I don't know why I did AS. We're going with soda, we're just going with soda.
Oh, lots of things.
More what?
TN. We have the 7 voting, are you okay with counting those while we're waiting for one more X? I think we're waiting for Tel and you.
Okay.
Maybe one of these includes your top 5. Tel's almost done.
Which one did, Lauren? Will you remind me of that? You said you waived the.
Lawrence, multi?
Okay, that's what I thought.
must have borrowed
Oh,
Aaron's
that was
pen.
Aaron's pen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
Oh,
I just got this email.
Our price has gone up.
Yeah. of course
I
it's
don't think
gonna
it's
go up.
double.
No, but she said it's like 75%, not even 75% with the services thing. Okay, what you wanna know from me?
I don't know what she wants.
I don't know what
Is she
our
just
price
wondering
is.
about, we just renewed that. We can go have Amy pull the, I can go get it up, pull it up and see, but it did, I mean, they said it went up.
Yeah,
Like, they didn't, they didn't just send us a contract to say it went up, but
yeah.
they sent an email saying X, Y, and Z is why it went up, blah, blah, blah. Inflation, yeah.
Well, you know,
But they are adding some products too.
They
to it.
are.
Well, maybe.
I'll go find out from Amy.
Soon take 18 now for me.
This is gonna be even easier. BG, 7. Who's next?
B and I.
Jude? Next,
Binkle and Williams.
0.
Adventure.
Zero.
Multi-studio.
Five.
Perkins and Will.
6.
Schaefer.
5.
SFS.
5.
And Tesseract.
3. Can you go back to SFS, I'm sorry. How many did you have?
4 for the voting, 5 for the non.
5 for the non?
Yep.
Okay. Good. Does anything stick out?
Looks like there's 4 that are above 10 are above.
Well,
So that would be BG, Multi-Studio, Perkins, Will, and Schaefer.
Like there it is.
Are we good with that, folks?
Yep.
Sure.
Do 4 Ks and 2 CMOs on the 15th?
Okay, so now I'll bring up the email I got this week. Now that I know who these are, Bruce Becker will be out of the country on June 13th and would like to be at the interview if it's possible. And I said, I can't answer that question for you until after we know if you even make the list or not. So now we know he has, and out of the country, I don't know.
Well, if he's gonna be in Italy, it's okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying he wants to be in the interview, so I'm assuming it's gonna be.
Yeah, what's the time zone situation?
Via Zoom, I'm just wondering.
Zoom would be what I would suggest. It was hard enough to get you guys down to June 13th based on your vacations, and I don't know that you wanna try to get another date. And I don't know if it's possible that his team, the architect team, could be. I don't know. I just didn't answer. I just responded with, I will let you know after we find out if you're wanting to talk.
I think
one, so that's for you guys to decide,
I think that's our date.
I think it's our date.
and he'll just
Yeah, I
have to,
think so
okay.
too.
I mean, if we have these 6 finalists
Right,
in 1 hour increments or whatever it is,
right,
and we needed to move him to 11 instead of its scheduled 2 PM, cause it worked time zone wise, I'd be fine with something like
Within
that,
that
but
day.
not moving
Okay.
the date.
I'll email him back.
So give him first choice on time, I guess.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
So the next question.
Is, how
the
do
email.
do I just email tomorrow? The yeses and the nos? Is that what you would like me to do?
Just
Right on,
assign
email
times.
them.
Say that again?
Just assign times.
Assign times to the yeses and then email the nos. Thank you so much for submitting. Okay.
And do we give them each an hour and then there's a 15-minute, 10-minute break? Otherwise you're just
Yeah.
overlapping and then by.
And it takes about
Give them like 45 minutes.
45 minutes and 15 minutes for questions, but it
Okay.
does take an hour. I mean,
So leave a space.
leave a space.
Okay. All right, we can set the schedule up.
Is there food?
We will have to.
There will be food.
Have you eaten the food
We
here
always
today?
have food.
I was thinking about taking it home.
Yeah, you can
It's what?
I'll work cleanup.
Oh,
It's
my
alright.
God.
When does the meeting get
This
posted
is after
publicly?
lunch. This was.
Yes, that was my next question.
When does this current meeting get posted publicly?
And what is protocol about speaking to the public about this?
When does the June 13th meeting?
No,
When does
no,
this
no,
one-
this current one that's being filmed, because like, if it's not posted till tomorrow, no big deal, but if it is posted,
Oh.
like, if it's live, for
No.
example, like
Gotcha.
a live
Yeah.
stream, then the email should go out
Today.
today,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
we don't work that fast.
No.
I don't even know that, I mean, we're having.
We
it-
have been
This
posting it?
is an open meeting, so
Right.
I'm pretty sure Tegan will be calling you this afternoon.
He'll be
Right.
calling
When I
me,
talked to him this
actually.
morning.
Yeah, so I wanted to
That's
ask
why-
you
So I
how
can
to
email it
properly
today.
go
Is
about
that
it.
what you're thinking?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, we don't want anything out to the press until we've communicated with them.
Right, I agree with that.
I just think that's
That's courtesy,
appropriate, yeah, so that they know.
Okay.
And I was, one thing that I was thinking about when we think about that June 13th date is, you know, you're gonna be sending this invitation out, and I think it's really important that we give them all really clear instructions, that they have 45 minutes, and they will be on a time, because
Okay.
I've been to too many where it's,
Right.
you know, like, okay, you have one more thing to say, and 17 minutes later, they're still saying it, so,
Okay.
you know, I think when we get to this part of the process, everything has to be equal between everyone.
I agree. So we'll do 45-minute presentation, 15 minutes for questions. We'll end it at an hour. Thanks, Tom. Are you guys, if we start at 9, we can be done at 5? If we start at 8, we can be done at 4-ish.
Is there lunch in there?
Yes.
I think we
So I-
probably need like 30 minutes just to get our own bearings before we launch into, we need a little bit of time as a committee before.
As far as if we schedule these, I just wrote down 9, it's gonna change anytime. It'll be 9, 10, 15. We're gonna buy ourselves 15 minutes between each as well.
Mhm.
9, 10, 15, 11:30. The 11:30 is done at 12:30. We eat lunch. We'll come back at 1:15, 2:30, and 3:45.
Mhm.
911. Yeah.
And then we have an hour to,
As long as it takes us 13 to pick one of each.
I think there's value in utilizing the 15-minute time that we get between, to, even if it's just a quick 5 minutes of it, to do a pros, cons, and standout points. Because by the time you get to the end of the day, you're potentially
I-
not thinking about number one, presentation,
I-
so just that quick, what are some takeaways from the group? Okay, got that for notes, we'll come back to it at the end. And then-
I agree with you.
I actually would push back a little bit because it will be an open meeting, so it could give people who present an advantage. If you're presenting later, you actually
Oh.
have an advantage, like, oh, they really like the coffee shop, so all of a sudden, so people could.
Because they could be in the audience
They
potentially.
could be the audience.
So
can we just have a matrix?
June 13th is interviews. You're expecting them to come with a presentation of what they are planning, their approach to this? What are they, I guess, on the 13th, when you say 45-minute presentation,
They're gonna show their approach, their team.
so everything that we just read, they're going to
This and
reiterate,
more.
and then we will ask questions for 15 minutes?
And then they'll give us their fees as well.
Okay.
So similar criteria to this, just more in depth.
Yes.
Yeah, in person, yeah, instead of
And we can ask them.
And you'll get to see their whole crew and who's gonna actually be working on the project and.
Do you feel like we need more time for questions and less time for them to,
You could probably do 30,
like 30 minutes?
We could do 30.
I think that would be, I don't know, I feel like that might be better.
I think it all
For
depends
not
on the
having someone
presentation
read the
style.
book to me for
Exactly.
45 minutes.
I think it all
That's
depends
what
on the
I was
presentation
concerned
style
about,
too.
Cause we've all done our homework,
Right.
I don't necessarily wanna come in here and just sit and listen to them, like you said, read the book to me.
Yeah.
So,
That's a lot. Do I need to send out an email this afternoon that just says, yay, you're it? More information coming soon?
I would do do you have a contact for all 9 of those?
Yes.
yeah,
I would do a blind carbon copy and let them all know that we really appreciated the submittals.
Right,
And we have chosen our 4 finalists and they are A, B, C, and D.
okay. And then A, B, C, and D will find out about the 30-30 or the 45-15, or, I mean, at what point do I give them the information they need to show up on June 13th?
just as soon as you have, I mean,
As soon as, I'd like to come to a consensus before we adjourn.
Okay.
I mean, get a hold of Bruce and see which time he wants, but then just sign times after that.
Yeah, I would prefer all 4 of the AEs in a row, and then the 2 CMARs
Yeah, I
back to
agree.
back, but
Do you have a
I can-
preference on which is first and
No.
which is? Okay.
I can also easily distinguish between the 2. Cause in my mind, I'll probably, when BG comes and then multi-studio, I'm just going in alphabetical order. When multi-studio comes, in my mind, I'm gonna pick the winner of those 2
Right,
to go to
right,
the next
right.
round.
Okay, so we just need a motion for those 4 then.
I need a motion.
Hey, I'm the one that entertains the motion.
I already did my motion for the day.
I move that we invite BG, Multi-Studio, Perkins and Will, and Schaefer to interviews on June 13th.
It's been moved and seconded to invite BG, Multi-Studio, Perkins and Will, and Schaefer to the finalists interviews for AE on the Employer Recognition Project. Any further discussion? All those in favor state aye. Aye. Motion carried. All opposed? Motion, I thought I heard all 7. Motion carries 7-0.
So you like the 30 and 30 then? Just so we're sending us forward.
We probably need to give them direction.
Great.
I think we should put, please allow up to 30 minutes for questions.
Okay.
I like that.
I mean, if they come in and they're, hey, all of you have read our stuff, I don't need to show you the picture of Farha again, whoever it is. You don't need to see that picture again. Do you have any questions about a project like that? I'd rather just talk back and forth with them if they wanna present that direction.
Is there value to having any questions that are consistent across all 4 groups or both groups of C1? Does that make, like, is there anything that, when you think of like an interview applicant process, right, like you wanna ask the same questions to every applicant?
I think some will
Is
be
there
organic, but
anything
maybe we go through the rubric. Are you guys more comfortable without a rubric and just going off the interview and your feelings and picking the best interviewer, or do we wanna, would you guys feel safer having a rubric for the actual interview day as well?
Like, my plan would be to use the rubric I already have and then just add additional notes to it.
Okay.
So I wouldn't need a new rubric.
Okay,
Where did we save this information that's on the, mirror?
yeah,
In the event we wanna refer back to.
yeah, if we can.
The tallies?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if we can record that, I can send you the, CMAR one that we did.
Yeah, I have it.
Maybe not as important as it's only 2, but
It's not
still.
showing up on the video, so.
No, we can
Just-
just write it down.
Okay, so we'll just work off of our existing homework pages.
Did you
I think
decide
having
9
some
AM?
bullets
Sorry.
is good, you know.
Yeah, do we want to?
Was it 8 or 9 AM?
We haven't decided yet.
Okay.
Do we want to, for each of the categories that we did a rubric, do we want to come up with one question that's the the same for each of them. I think the rest of it's gonna be pretty free-flowing, question-wise, depending on their presentation.
I understand where you're coming on the point. I just think, having been through this process, it's really, they're gonna either leave questions open or closed. I don't know that you need a script, but that's my take, having been through it.
So with the fire department being the most recent experience in our community, should you guys use a set of questions?
Or just,
You
hey,
didn't-
would you elaborate, you talked about this, would you elaborate more on that?
And you didn't feel like there was an unfair advantage or disadvantage to any of the groups?
I think my only fear of an agenda, a set question is, like you said earlier, even presenter two could have that question in their bag if they're paying attention, and maybe you don't even have to answer the question because they started off with each one of those.
Yeah, so I was actually, and you have much more experience than me, I was just thinking, actually, are there any questions, because you could pre-pose them, here are 3 things that we would like you to address in your almost,
And that's
more that way
yeah.
versus asking them in the moment to see how they respond, that if there's, like, are there any things that that we know are consistent that we'd like to hear clarified across the board, and then you give that to them in advance, so it's not,
How about
that was the thought, but
How
I
about
don't
this?
care. I just think-
If anybody voting or ex officio has something that they feel like they would like to hear from these 4 or the other 2, send them to Jennifer. And then Anna and Dion, are you guys good with trying to get together for 30 minutes or an hour and go over those?
No problem. That's good.
A week before?
Sure.
I'm back a week, so, maybe the Friday before. And if we see anything that's glaring,
Yeah.
we could include it and send it to them. Is that okay with the other 4 voting members if we just did that as a 3-person team?
It's perfect. It worked really well the last time you did a 3-person team, so.
That Friday works for me too, the 7th.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, we'll figure out a time for that. Okay, day of. Do you guys wanna start at 9? Do you wanna start at 8? Do you wanna start at 8:30?
Is there coffee?
How about-
Always, all day long.
How about 8:30, and we can get our variance first interview at 9?
Okay? Ready, Jen?
Write it all down.
We're all meeting at 8:30.
And then we start.
Drinking coffee, eating donuts.
Right?
9?
Healthy?
10:15?
Celery and carrots.
No.
Granola, yogurt.
11:30?
Granola yogurt.
Is that what you're saying?
No, 11:30 interview.
There is an 11:30.
Yep, that's our third one.
Okay, I missed the second one. 9,
10:15.
10:15, 11:30.
Lunch at 12:30 to 1:15.
Okay.
Third interview, 1:15.
The city can make a
2:30.
lot of noise with the cellophane.
Yeah.
3:45.
Especially if there's somebody on the phone.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
got it.
We're doing this here or we're doing it the 3:45 one?
I don't know, I was making sure we got Muddy Buddies with cellophane, so I'm gonna want it.
For each of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
whatever treats there, make sure it's heavily wrapped in cellophane.
Absolutely.
We love the noise.
Love the noise.
We need to start giving ourselves 3 extra minutes for executive session.
For food?
Well, Mark's trying to talk about something very important and all you hear is.
Food is centric to everything for this commission. It's weird.
You say that, I don't see any brownies.
No, the city commission, unlike anybody I've ever worked for though, all 5 are just like, where's, aren't they? And Teresa's like, if one person gets angry, the whole thing goes bad.
There's 2 of us that never ask for it. We know it's coming.
And if it's gonna go past 1, then we have something next year.
Yeah. And there's extra treats.
You just eat cute desserts like me.
Two.
Okay, anything else? Now, one last thing. Yep.
Hayden, about to call me later.
Mm-hmm.
What am I at liberty to talk about?
Everything that happened
Everything
today.
that
Yeah.
happened, I
Open
can,
meeting.
like names and
Yep.
everything can
Yep.
be,
Yep.
you guys don't wanna contact them first.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna try to go do that right now. I'm gonna send out, what I'm still confused on as far as my part is I'm gonna send out an email to 9 architects and 4 CMA ARs telling them who won, right?
Yeah, I would just send it as one email to
Okay,
everybody that
that's
applied
fine.
for either position.
But then I really feel like I need to talk directly to the 4 and the 2
I agree.
about the day of.
I
Okay.
agree.
At the bottom of that email, you could say, those that have made it will get you. further
Right, that's what
Yeah.
I'm gonna do.
That's
So I can go send out right now the
Yeah.
one email to the 13.
Yeah, go send an email, blind carbon copy to the 13.
Yes, and then yes, you can.
And you can give them the time stuff tomorrow if you'd like.
Yes, okay.
And are we allowed, just for my own good, can we share these with other
Yes.
people in the community, show them what we're looking at, if they have
Absolutely.
questions, or, okay.
We have all these electronically, right?
Yes.
So we can post all those.
Tell them to go to the,
Yeah.
tell them to go to the.
Yeah,
what's
we can
the-
post them.
What's the page?
So just post the
It's
four.
EmporiaRec.org under Emporia
Okay,
Recreation Commission tab.
so you're gonna post the 4 winners of the,
That was my intent. I
And then
did
the-
not post the 13. We
Okay.
thought we'd wait until you got it narrowed down. But
so the
Yeah.
2
So
Seaburns
then,
and the 4
yeah, the whole
Andes.
community can start looking at that with you.
Yeah.
Cool, okay, okay.
Exciting. Thanks.
Hey,
It might be a couple days. Those are pretty big files, so just.
What'd you say?
Might be a couple days. Those are big
Oh.
files, so it might take them a while to load, but,
What's it under, Shaw?
about us,
Yep.
under Emporia Recreation Commission?
I think so. There's a page.
I don't know,
called-
that's the at-large.
There's a page called.
ERC progress? ERC progress.
You want the book back?
You would put it
No, I want
under
the-
progress archives?
I had 8 stacks of those in my office.
I would probably put it under steering committee.
Is there a steering committee on there?
I think there's a steering committee section, but I'll probably put it on the right-hand side because there's steering committee agenda and minutes. So I'll probably put it on the side column.
One card for every year.
I can make a motion to adjourn. Thank you. Jamie and Susie?
Yes.
It's been moved and seconded. I'm gonna assume there's no discussion, but is there any? All in favor, please state aye. Aye. Motion carries.